First of all, it's always a pleasure to see people coming out to be educated, but today is probably more important because what we're trying to do here is to show the relationship between Afro-American and our Latino brothers and sisters. There are a lot of Latinos that consider themselves African-American, African Latino, I mean. If we truly learned our history, we would find that a lot of slaves landed in a lot of the Latino countries. Brazil has one of the biggest populations. Brazil has one of the biggest populations of Afro-Latinos in the world. So it's very important that we connect to our roots and look at ourselves as brothers and sisters. But more than that, we are all a part of one race, and that's the human race. And that's the only race that God made. So you have to understand that when I bleed red, you bleed red. So we all come from one source, and that's our Heavenly Father. For those who believe in our Heavenly Father, I want to have these brothers introduce themselves because we're getting ready to start our program. We're waiting for one more person. We'll hopefully this person to show up, but if she doesn't, we're still going to move forward. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well done, well done.
Hello, everybody. I want to say thank you to Casey for inviting us into the celebration.
On behalf of us as a people, as a human people, all of us originate in Africa. Long time ago in Africa, as human development went on in life and we evolved, everybody went away from Africa. Everybody moved out to different parts of the world. When we moved out to different parts of the world, we climatized and we adjusted to the environments that we live in. Underneath, we're all the same people. So we need to understand that as a universe, so let's look at one universe, and we all part of the one and the whole. So I'd like to say that we'd like to give thanks to Black History Month, that we recognize the root that we all come from. And in that celebration, we'd like to talk about the good times that we've had this time. We'd like to talk about the Middle Passage, all the souls that were killed during the Middle Passage, all the folks that fought for freedom over the years and struggle, and for all those that contributed to it, people of all shades and all colors, still recognizing that we all have African origin and heritage. I'd like also to say to our ancestors who gave their lives to the struggle, our leaders, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. And what I like to do in the Liberation Cup, I'm going to raise the cup, and I'd like folks that if you have any family members that have been lost, to recognize their name, and then every name that we say, you can either say amen, or
Ashe, which means the same thing. Okay? So, for all those souls that was lost in the middle passage on our way over, Ashe. Anybody have any family members that are gone, you feel free to call their name out, and the audience will answer Ashe. 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 Ashe.
Big Ross.
Ashe.
Ruby.
Ashe. Ashe. Marcus Garvey. Ashe. Michael Jackson. Ashe. Ashe. And then we get to the end, for those souls that are yet unborn, we'd like to say Ashe. Thank you. We're gonna play a couple selections from our repertoire, and anybody that feels free that want to get up and dance, you're quite welcome to. Okay? If you'd like to, we have some dancers here. Do we have some dancers here? So we have a dance circle. Okay? If y'all could start a circle as we play, y'all can make a circle. Y'all could just go around the circle to the rhythm. And everybody that wants to join in can join in. Okay?
nice hand, please. If you look around the room and you're wondering what all these dance figures are and these stars and Soul Train. Last night they had a Black History Soul Train event last night where they spoke about our history, served some of our traditional food, collard greens, macaroni and cheese, things like that. So this is the Soul Train right here. We're going to bring out our folks from the South End. South End Show Steppers. And I really want to thank them for coming down. I've seen them perform in the South End over the years, and I really want to thank Alex of the South End Cultural Center for introducing me to these young ladies. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to start a group like this right here in Bromley Heath. So you ladies got a choice. You can either dance right down there, or you can come right up here.
Hoje é dia de sol, alegria de coió, é curtir o verão.
Vem, bagalenha, rojão, traz a lenha pro fogão, vem fazer a maçã.
Vem, bagalenha, rojão, traz a senha pro bebê coração. Hoje é dia de sol, alegria de coió, bebê verão.
Vem, bagalenha, rojão, traz a lenha
make you do a double take.
Batman never rise them shop, government rise them cops. Me write my books, artist team that I don't want to give a fuck. No, then many money ways with my five bills up and off and up. Never leave no free class, you can't leave me in trap. No. Yeah, John, yeah.
All right, give another round of applause. I want to thank the South End Show Steppers for coming from the South End to help us celebrate this cross-cultural. Does anyone from the group want to come up and say how the group got started and what your mission and goals are and how we can support you? Come on up, anybody.
We're from the Villa Victoria, South End, and we started 2 years ago, me and Sarita, right there. And we have 10 girls, and we're always looking for more. You can check our Facebook, which is South End Showstoppers, or our email, se/showstopper@hotmail.com. And it's a free program. We do it because we just love to dance, but we always fundraise for the girls' outfits and stuff like that. So it's ages 11 plus, and you just hit us up on Facebook.
All right, we're going to have a little raffle here so they can kind of keep it flowing.
All right, can I have everybody's attention, please? Raffle off this $25 Stop and Shop card. Everybody got their tickets ready? All right, ready for the numbers? 519386. You know what? Keep your coupon though. You have to keep your ticket. And then hold on.
And then we're gonna have some food and stuff. Okay, Lula Christopher.
I have no idea what I'm going to say, but you know what I am going to do is to take a chair so we can have a conversation, because that's what I do. I want to first congratulate the young women who just, your dance troupe. I want to thank you for your dance, because dance is such an important part of our Afro Latin culture. And without dance, we couldn't create our stories and our history. And through dance is a way that as a cultural group of people, we pass on our spirits as well as our history. That dance comes from a very long place in our spirit and in our history. So thank you all very much. So, my name is Lula Christopher. This is how I always introduce myself. My name is Lula Christopher. I am the daughter of Willie Julia, the granddaughter of Flutie Heath and Lizzie Farrell. I am the mother of Malika Kenyatta and the grandmother of Inyomi and Jalil. And I tell you my history because I come from a solid foundation rooted in African history and lineage. And so when we come together to celebrate Black history, we're talking about our history from the beginning of time, not just our history in the United States. It's also how we became rooted in with other cultures, our Latin culture, our African history throughout the world. And so we come together to celebrate that in its entirety. The thing that I do most of all is to work on Black women's health in the United States and the diaspora. And where we have to start with our history currently, where I like to start with our history currently as women, is through our rites of passage as girls and as women. And what that means to talk about the looking at the history of the world through the eyes and lens of Black and Latino women. So what is our history? What is our cultural connection, and how do we connect to who we are? That's a question, so anybody can answer that. How do we connect to our history?
Reading books, studying
Through books, through education, through music, celebrating our history through Black History Month. And also laying claim to who we are, you know, and that we do have cultural roots. I see a hand over there. Through art. So our cultural expression is through art, music, dance, our history, and each other. You know, one time in my, at our family reunion, one of our themes was link. And how do we link to each other? How do we acknowledge that we link our history through each other? So my history is not my history alone. So if I link to the Latina history, I'm linking real deep for my African roots that is a part of that history. If you reach out in your Latina history, what are you reaching out to? So I guess what I'm sitting here trying to do is to ask us to join as a collective in understanding our history. And I'm a storyteller. So my role here now is to sit here as the storyteller and historian and how we claim who we are. One of the things I know about Bromley Heath is that Bromley Heath saw their history and decided to lay claim as strong tenants and form a tenant organization that turned into a housing corporation. And so we are able to celebrate unity. I really believe in the principles of Kwanzaa, and one of the first principles of Kwanzaa is unity. And how we decide to express unity among ourselves. So in the girls' troop, how do you express unity? In talking, communicating with each other. Someone said sticking together. So I'm going to ask the rest of you to talk a little bit about how as a collective and as our history, how do we express unity? How do you express unity as individuals and as a community?
By accepting each other no matter what race you come from or whether it's a different country.
Did you all hear that? Okay. Anyone else? Which guy say? Okay, I'm gonna tell you, you got a minute. Yeah, we're talking about unity.
Unity. Everyone's brought together.
Uh-huh.
There's a reason we all together.
Right, and why is that, you think?
We gotta share something special.
Yes, we have to share the specialness of our history, our community, our culture, things through art, music, dance, song, praise,
And love.
and love. Oh, yeah. So another one of our principles is called UGMA, Collective Work and Responsibility. And how do we use that principle to help us build a community where we can all thrive and grow in? Anyone?
I would think about serving one another, making sure the needs are met,
Making sure everyone's needs are met.
and loving, caring for each other, and connecting with each other.
Loving and caring and connecting with each other. Anybody else from over here? Girl, how do you collectively work together? Because if you didn't work together, when you got up here, everybody would be going different ways. So how do you collectively work together?
I know how we work.
Communicating.
Communicating. We stayed very open-minded. We stayed real to each other, honest, and we just love each other, and we just stay together. And we talk about any and everything we need to, like their sisters, one step at a time. One step at a time, working collectively, and staying open, because we're all different. Yeah, open-minded. Different cultures, different backgrounds, and so in order to build unity and keep our history and our connection, we have to stay open to each other, loving each other, caring for each other, making sure that our community needs are met. Young man.
Helping each other when they're down instead of knocking them down.
That's right. You all can tell me when my time is up. One of the, another principle is called Kukuchagalia. Can you say that with me? Kukuchagalia. And does anyone know what that means? It means self-determination. And when we are determined, when we have agency with ourselves, that means that we can propel ourselves to do the things that we need to do. We express self-determination. And in the Kwanzaa tradition, self-determination means to name ourselves and to speak for ourselves, and instead of being named, spoken, and identified by others. So how do we know when we have Kukuchagalia going on? And how can we use Kukuchagalia to help us with our historical connection to each other. Come on up.
When the community comes together and becomes one.
Okay. Becoming one with the community, you have to know who you are in order to do that. You have to be able to claim for yourself who you are and what you stand for as a community, right? All right, there's about 4 other ones, and they are Kuumba, which is creativity, Nia, which is purpose, Imani, which is faith, and I think I'm forgetting one, so if somebody knows it, please let me know. But these are the foundations on which we build our historical base. This is the foundation from which we grow and learn and become as a community. And so we can reflect on those things. That not only help us understand Black history in its context, it also helps us understand Latina history and women's history and history of men and women in the world who are working to make this community great. And so Black history is about us celebrating all of our accomplishments on this planet. So, Yvette, how are you doing? So what does Black history mean to you? Anybody?
Maybe celebrating a culture.
Celebrating the culture?
It has different meanings for different people.
Then what's the meaning for you?
For me, it's mainly culture.
It's mainly culture.
Oh boy, is right. I think it's mainly culture. My reasons why is because I personally read into a lot of books in regards to Puerto Rico. My parents are Puerto Rican. And knowing that the Spaniards took over the Indians basically and then brought in the slaves from Africa. It's culture.
It's culture.
It's culture.
It's the interlocking and interconnectedness of culture. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Let's see if I can give somebody else an opportunity. Wait a minute. Well, come on, little brother. You all want to say anything over here about what Black history is for you? And why are you here today to celebrate it?
Black history to me means existence. Without Black history, there would be no life for myself, and it's just existence. So it's an everyday thing for me, and it's an everyday thing for all of us.
Okay. So Black history is like this thing. It's every day. It's not just 1 month of the year, but it is who we are in the context of our lives as we bring our history, our culture, and our traditions with us. Anybody else? I'm going back here.
Giving back to the community.
Everybody?
Giving back to the community. As you get older, moved up in the world, you should remember your roots and see what you can do for others who are maybe less fortunate.
Thank you.
Well, Black History Month means to me is that we come together and be happy and be proud that we're Black Americans and we're all special.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Black history to me is just, it's not just a thought, it's a concept to figure out exactly where we came from the beginning, and how far during slavery, how far we branched and reached. It's more like to be born in 1960. I watched a lot of history from the presidents, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all throughout my life. So Black history to me is, it's not just a, I call it an African American thing. It's come to where during the Civil Rights Movement, all of our history, all joined in one from the Latino community, the women's movement, and it all got started by one culture, which is the human family, the love of one another.
We always dance together, but support each other.
We all dance together, and you know, that dance, I thank you for that word, because when we dance our history with each other, we are participating in a spiritual thing of remembering who we are. When those girls started to dance, my whole spirit got up and danced with them, you know, and the information and the education that we receive from each other, because today, these are my teachers. These young women help me to remember who I am and what I want for myself and what I want for them. And so, as we celebrate Black history, we're celebrating our leaders, our teachers, our spiritual leaders, and those that came before us that made our struggles in the Americas or wherever we happen to land. It gives us a roadmap and a pattern to look at. It provides a very solid foundation for us to stand on and give us a roadmap to follow. So in Black history, we're celebrating ourselves, we're celebrating our ancestors, we're celebrating our legacy, and all of those things that make us who we are. And so, as a community, I like to think of myself as a community social justice activist who's rooted in firmly believing that if we provide a container to tell our stories, to reflect on, that we will become aware of who we are, we will build unity with each other, we will begin the process of taking control of our lives, and indeed, in those 3 steps, we'll begin the process of transformation. And in that transformation, we can heal some of the pain from the past so that we don't have to carry them over into our future. But that transformation begins with each of us individually, so that we can bring the gifts that we have collectively to the table. And then, after we get to that point, it's a matter of trying to figure out how do we maintain all of the gains that we have managed to gather over the years. So I just took you through what I believe are the 5 steps of wellness, which is 1, awareness, 2, building unity, 3, taking control, 4, transformation, and 5 is maintenance. So that's what I have to offer today. So thank you for listening and thank you for participating with me. And so I'm sure they'll be ready real soon.
Well, we can always do another rap. You see, when you get stuck, you got to be prepared. So preparation is another raffle. All right, can I get somebody to volunteer to do this raffle here? Tracy, let's do it again. And Laura, I really want to thank you for doing that on the fly, but I knew you had it in your heart to do, and I really appreciate that. And God bless you for that. You want to pull the ticket? We're gonna let this young man pull the ticket. We're gonna let you pull the ticket. Reach in your bag.
Only one.
All right, let me see here. 5. Everybody got 5? Everybody got 5? What about 1? Everybody got a 1. What about 9? Yes! Everybody got a 9. What about 3? Yes! Everybody got 3? Yes! Well, the next number is 8. All right, who has an 8? Oh, you got an 8? So it's 5, 1, 9, 3, 8. So who got the 8? Hold up your hands. 3 people. 4 people. So it's out of 5 people. So it's out of the 5 people right here. I'm going to read the number off right quick. 5, 1, 9, 3, 8, 1. Right there in front of us. 519381 is in the house right there. Thank you very much.
We're trying to commissioner to the network of Afro-Latin American and Afro-Caribbean women. So everyone you see here is from a Latin American country. Name a country that you think doesn't have someone of African descent. Any country that you thought about and you say, oh, there's no black people there. Well, the Moors are from Spain, so Spain itself has black folks and African folks. Huh? Santo Domingo. This whole section is from Santo Domingo. Puerto Rico. La compañera aquí es de Puerto Rico.
Laos.
Guatemala, there's an area in Guatemala that's called Livingston, and sister here is from Livingston. So you name a country, there is people. In Argentina, the area that they're from is called Santa Fe, which is about an hour outside of Buenos Aires. In Ecuador, they're all over the place. In Uruguay, they're in Montevideo. In Chile, there's also a community there that's mixed into Santiago, but they're more on the coastal of Chile and Uruguay, which is called Arapias, and that's where they're at. And Puerto Rico, well, it was one of the second ports of the exit and entrance of people of African descent. Just to say that a Puerto Rican may not be of African descent is actually dismissing an entire Puerto Rican history. Santo Domingo, to say that Dominicans are not of African descent or don't have their history rooted in an African story is also dismissing their history, because Puerto Rico was one with who? Santo Domingo was one with who? Before Santo Domingo became Santo Domingo, what was it? It was Española, and who was their brother, neighbor, sister? And who was Haiti? As it relates to African history, what was Haiti?
First independent nation in the Western Hemisphere.
There you go. First group of free slaves that started the revolution. So to say that Latin America, Santo Domingo, Haiti, all these places are not rooted in their African history is dismissing history. Panama itself was one of the first places of revolution on settlements of Afro-colonials, which were African slaves brought by the Spaniards. And the second wave of people of African descent in Panama were those that came through the construction of the canal. So we are deeply rooted. When I think of Black history, I don't remove myself as someone from Panama. I think it's my history. Because if I think of Panama's history, Puerto Rico's history, Santo Domingo's history, then we're rooted in that history. These are all women from somewhere else. This is my colleagues that are from everywhere. Panama, Uruguay, Puerto Rico, Brazil, Panama, Ecuador, Nicaragua, Panama, and Nicaragua. And we all walk and consider ourselves women of African descent. Here's another picture of women who are all from different places. But the thing is that how deeply rooted are we? Sometimes music is the easiest way to have that conversation. This song is Brazilian, and it's a call to the ancestors. So here it is that we're talking about how rooted we are, you know. But if someone heard this, they would think this was Santo Domingo. So the whole thing is to hear the connection of the drums. When you hear the brothers that we're starting today, they play the drums and the continuum of the drums. So this song is from Brazil. And you can hear so this is who knows what this is? Other than Brazilian, it's also a spiritual call. Es santería, se dice en Puerto Rico, en Brasil lo llaman candomblé, en Cuba lo llaman lucumí, pero comenzó de África, pero de los yorubas. So the practice, the spiritual sense of this started from Africa, and they were the Yorubas. And when they got to Cuba, this form of dance and music of calling of the ancestors is called lucumí. In Brazil, it's called candomblé. In Puerto Rico, they call it santería. They call it, and you know, mostly santería or lucumí. But in Santo Domingo, in Trinidad, they call it Shango Baptist, right? In Trinidad, they call it Shango Baptist, but it's the continuum of who we are. You can find that everywhere. So this one here is from Belize, and this artist is called Andy Palacio. And who knows about Belize? Where's Belize? Central America. And Belize is actually one of the only Central American countries that's their first language is actually English, not Spanish. But they are mostly Garifunas. And Garifunas are Amerindians who came through St. Vincent. So they are of Indian and African descent. And they have their own language. So this is what Andy is singing right now. He's singing a Garifuna song. And actually this song won the best world CD 2 years ago. And sadly, my brother Andy passed away the year after, about a year ago. But this is what we call Garifuna music. So can you hear the drums in this? Now, so all the Puerto Ricans should know this one. This is a combination of Puerto Rico and Cuba. Who wants to dance? Here is Brazil, and still you hear the continuum of the beat. These are women in the picture that are from Ecuador. So when I went to Ecuador, there's black communities in Quito, but their biggest community is in Chota and in Esmeralda. And as educated as I think I am, when I got to Esmeralda, I was like, oh, no one taught me about this, not even in my Panamanian schooling. Everyone was of African descent. And they spoke their language still. A lot of the families there still carry African names. They still carry African last names. They still keep their African traditions. And this is in Latin America. And that itself was fascinating to me. Because we're not told that we are connected. We're not told that people look like us in other places. This is Belize. All these are Belizeans. This is Nicaragua. Honduras. These are a group of elder women at a conference, and they got up and danced on punta, which is what they dance a lot in Honduras. Doña Berta. Venezuela has a strong black community. This is what we would call your popular sort of beginning of
you know, and it's that. It's the fact that I was able to look around and see my family. I have cousins that are black. I have cousins that are albino. I have cousins that are half Salvadorian, half Colombian, and I love them. And I'm glad and I'm proud to say, that's my cousin, that's my cousin, that's my brother, that's my sister. And it's because of me that I'm able to learn that. And not because of family. I just do believe. I try to instill it in my kids. Unfortunately, some people are lucky to do that. Some people are not so lucky. So I think it also has to do with generation and if the parents are willing to pass down a message.
I agree, because when I go into the schools, some of the conversations that we're having with the girls, they can't have in their house. Many of us have come to this country and have made the decision to not be black. And we pass that down to the kids, but what's happening is, in the house, no hablan de ser negros. But when those kids leave that house and they have to go to school, what do they think? How do people treat them? So we're doing a disservice to the kids because we're not allowing them to have the conversation that they need to have in the house, and then they're being shattered when they go out of the house. Because then when they go to that store and they go into that, or they're driving a car, that's when they're going, oh, I just had a black experience. When they should have known that they would have a black experience if they were talking about it before they got there. So we're doing a disservice, I think, like what you said, generation to generation, that we're not having that conversation. Because we need to know who we are to know where we're going. If you don't know who you are today, then how are you going to know where you're going tomorrow?
Sir, you have your hand up?
Yes, I was simply going to say, I don't want to change the subject, but I think that one of the reasons for the prominence of the N-word in the public schools, the junior high schools and the high schools, is among the, particularly among the black males, Latinos and Afro-Americans, is the unwillingness to accept a part of that history. It's, they use it among their friends in constant polite conversation. Part of that is a result of a certain amount of ignorance that they've not been taught yet, and I hope you also see music in public, not privately, not in a private conversation with yourself, where everyone else is listening.
Oh no, I you sit on the train.
This also is a reflection that they haven't done the research, that they aren't being taught. Something is lacking.
I mean, I sit on the train and I observe some of the young girls, because I have to say, young girls are in there too, not just young boys. And I'm waiting 5 minutes into their conversation, waiting for someone to call a name. And no one has called anybody by their name. Everything is, and this, and that, and this. And I'm going to see, well, what's her name? What's his name? No one calls themselves by their name. The N-word is like flying all over the place. No one even calls themselves by their name anymore. What were you going to say?
Oh, what I was going to say was, like I said, from the 60s on through, I can tell you all about that, but the word actually has been more desensitized. And actually, to me, it's a good thing. I mean, some folks might not, but I sometimes think it's a good thing that that type of word actually really has no meaning now, because before, if you had called me that, we would have been having a big old problem. But right now, it seems as though it's, shoot, I'm right, just call them.
Yeah, everybody is.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
Don't everybody go to
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, move from table to table. Table to table.
Yeah.
So that there won't be too much argument between the races or word, quote unquote.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day,
Oh, you got the answer.
at the end of the day, it's still what it is.
Yeah.
Regardless of who you're telling it to, who you know, as long as you don't really know what that person's done for you, how tight you've been with that person, at the end of the day, that's what that means.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's how you take it, regardless, it's what it is.
Well, I'm going to close out. I hope you walk away with something new, new information, new energy, new pride as African Americans and as Latinos, that you can walk out and know that you're a part of a long history that is very connected, and that we need to celebrate that in all the ways that we can. And the next time someone talks bad about someone from Roxbury or Dorchester or someone from Haiti and Santo Domingo, stop and think a little bit. Because talking about one is talking about all. Bringing down one is bringing down all. So thank you very much.
You went right back to work?
You gotta get help, Bo.
You gonna marry me?
Damn it, Bo, no. I'm not gonna marry you. My babies can't keep seeing their mama like this.
Your kids? So what you trying to say, that they ain't mine? Oh, you just a damn fool. Is that your man down there in that car? Are these his kids?
Give me